Have you ever stopped to think how a wellness app that promises to, reverse aging could possibly be connected to a huge corporate consulting firm? Or, get this, how both of them might link up to a spiritual practice that uses holy light. Okay, let's go down the rabbit hole, because we're about to dive into the surprisingly interconnected world of wellness in Japan. It's a journey that starts with a simple app and ends with some seriously big questions.
So it all starts right here with a company called Manners Music. They've got an app that makes a really bold, really simple promise: healing through sound. You don't have to do anything complicated, just listen, and it'll apparently change your mind and your body. I mean, it's a super appealing idea, right? But what's the actual theory they're working with?
Okay, so the whole thing is built on this concept called manner sound. It comes from a British doctor, Sir Peter Manners, and his theory was that every single part of your body, every organ, every cell, has its own unique, healthy sound, like a frequency. When you get sick, that frequency gets all messed up, so the app claims to play the correct sound, the healthy one, which causes your unhealthy cells to resonate with it and basically tune themselves back to being healthy. And the list of promised effects is, well, it's pretty wild. We're talking about everything from literally reversing aging and improving your blood flow to boosting your memory and immune system. It's pitched as this kind of magic bullet sonic cure-all for pretty much anything, all just from listening on your phone. But this idea of a one-stop solution, it turns out it's not just for music apps. Yeah, this idea of an all-in-one fix isn't just for individuals trying to feel better. We're about to take a really sharp turn into the high-stakes world of corporate consulting. And trust me, the connection here is probably not what you're expecting. So, next up, let's talk about NKCS Holdings. This is a massive consulting firm, and they're making a very, very familiar promise to be a one-stop solution. But this time, it's for huge businesses. And when I say massive, I mean it. The scale here is just staggering. We're talking a network of over 60,000 companies, all backed by thousands of experts and researchers. This is a serious heavyweight in the corporate world. On the surface, if you look at what they offer, it's all pretty standard stuff, right? Business consulting, financial advice, help with global expansion. Everything looks perfectly normal in corporate, which, of course, makes you wonder, in such a competitive market, what's their secret sauce? How did a company that was only founded in 2020 build this huge network so fast? Well, the answer is kind of buried deep on one of their subsidiaries' websites. And this is where it gets wild. The company flat out says that the biggest key to its incredible growth isn't some business strategy, it's inner work. They actually credit practices like Qigong, meditation, and hey, look at that last one, acoustic vibration therapy. Sound familiar? It's the exact same principle of healing with sound that we saw with the Manners Music app, and it's supposedly at the very core of this corporate giant's philosophy. But believe it or not, the rabbit hole goes even deeper. There's yet another group out there that also promises a total solution to all of life's problems. But their method has nothing to do with sound or business consulting. It involves light. This is a spiritual movement called Sukyo Mahikari, and they present their practice as the ultimate path to true happiness, which they define as a state of perfect health, perfect harmony, and perfect wealth. And there it is again, that same theme, a single method to solve everything. Their main practice is something called tekizashi. The core belief here is that practitioners can radiate a divine, purifying light straight from the palms of their hands. This light is supposed to cleanse a person's soul, and by doing that, it resolves all of their problems in the real world, everything from sickness and money troubles to relationship issues. Now, this idea of holy light might sound pretty unique, but tekizashi is actually part of a really old and widespread tradition, hand healing. I mean, if you look back through history, this idea pops up everywhere. Way back in the Middle Ages, people believed kings could cure diseases with a royal touch. Then in the early 20th century, Japan gave us Reiki. And in the 1970s, American nurses came up with something called therapeutic touch. They're all different branches of the same basic tree, this belief that focused energy from your hands can heal people. Okay, so we've covered unheard frequencies, corporate meditation, and unseen light. All of them are making these profound promises. But this brings us to the most crucial part of this whole explainer. We have to stop and ask, what does the actual scientific evidence have to say about any of this? I mean, seriously, can you really heal a cell with a sound wave from an app? Can you actually project some kind of measurable energy field from your hands? These are some pretty extraordinary claims. And you know what they say? Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And the answer from the mainstream scientific community is, well, pretty blunt. These practices are overwhelmingly considered to be pseudoscience. That just means they lack any real, empirical, repeatable evidence to back up what they claim. But, funny enough, one of the most famous challenges to these ideas didn't come from a fancy university lab.
Nope. It came from a 9-year-old girl named Emily Rosa for her 4th grade science fair project.
The experiment she designed was just brilliant and so simple. The practitioners would put their hands through a screen so they couldn't see anything. Then Emily would place her own hand over either their left hand or their right hand. All the healer had to do was use their ability to sense her energy field and tell her which hand she was hovering over. That's it. So after doing this 280 times, what was their success rate? 44%. Let that number sink in for a second. If they had just randomly guessed, flipped a coin, they would have been right about 50% of the time. Their actual performance was statistically worse than just guessing. This simple, elegant experiment, which later got published in a major medical journal, was just this powerful, undeniable example of the gap between what people believe and what can actually be proven. And that really brings us to the heart of the whole thing. We've gone on this wild journey from a music app to a corporate giant to a spiritual movement, and we ended up at a 4th grade science fair. And at every single stop, we find this fundamental tension at play. On one side, you have these incredibly powerful promises. They tap into this really deep human desire for simple solutions to life's most complex problems, for health, for success, for happiness. And on the other side, you have the cold, hard scrutiny of science, which time and time again has looked at these claims and found there's just no evidence there. So it all leaves us with this final, really tricky question. When people are desperately searching for answers, for comfort, or for a cure, how much power does belief itself actually hold? And when that belief goes head-to-head with scientific evidence, where do we draw the line? That's definitely something to think about.